We're here at Imagination in Action in Davos 2025. We have young innovators who have come here to learn from the experts and also hear what's going on in the world. Hope, what are you expecting to hear out of the creative people here at Davos?
I'm really excited to be here for the first time as a technologist, especially because it's a time right now where AI is really shaping the global economy, and there's still a lot to be seen as to how we'll do that and how we can engage creatively and ethically with the way that AI will change the future. And the World Economic Forum didn't used to be something that I thought I would have a place in, but now with AI shaping the direction of the world and the global economy, it really feels like we have a place to shape that conversation. And I'm curious to hear from the experts and also engage with some of the ideas that have come up in our research that we hope can also contribute back to this conversation.
Wow, that is a spectacular answer. So speaking of innovators, could each of you give a quick introduction, just 30 seconds, about who you are and what you're working on?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'll start. Absolutely. I'm James Rubin. I'm a product manager at Google for Gemini Applied Research. I'm working currently on agents and how we improve agentic tool use so that we can really transform the way that users interact with digital tools. Also working on things like small language models, embeddings, and how we further personalize these large language models to better suit users' needs.
Hi, my name is Kevin Dunnell. I'm a PhD candidate at the MIT Media Lab. I'm in the Viral Communications Research Group, and my research focuses on human-AI interaction. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Layton Lab Systems, which is a spin-out from the Media Lab, making use of our tools, Layton Lab, for companies and venture capital funds.
And Hope, can you close?
Hi, I'm Hope Schroeder. I'm a PhD student at the MIT Media Lab and the MIT Center for Constructive Communication. A lot of the questions I work on have to do with how we can use language models to make sense of conversation data, especially when we're trying to get input from groups and communities that maybe don't always have a voice in the global conversation. So we think about how language models can help us do kinds of analysis that then help raise their voices in global decision-making, local decision-making, and so on.
Now, as you're walking down the promenade of Davos, you will see tons of houses with AI companies building cool technologies. Lots of them talking about AI agents. Would anyone like to comment on what an AI agent is and why it's reshaping AI?
Definitely. Yeah, I can talk about AI agents. So maybe taking a step back, what's the difference between an LLM chatbot and an agent? So an LLM, in very basic terms, it generates a single turn prediction. So it's reactive. It requires a user to continuously prompt it. And that way it doesn't have a very high level of autonomy. It additionally has limited access to external tools. So by comparison, an agent can act on your behalf. So whereas a chatbot may just plan out a list of tips on how to book travel, an agent could actually go about using external tools to do those things. And the way it really goes about doing this is, it's given a goal, for example, if you book a trip, and that it engages in this kind of reasoning and action reflection loop, iteratively continuing that until it reaches an acceptable outcome, until it has reached of a trip with booked flights and travel, etc. So yeah, that's kind of the basics on.
Yeah, that is a great description of an AI agent, something that even LinkedIn really hasn't figured out what exactly an AI agent is. So these AIs are powerful, they're changing things. How do we think these are going to change the ecosystems we operate in? Maybe, Hope, as someone who studied this, how do you think AI is going to impact the online ecosystems?
Yeah, so I think it used to be a question of can AI do this? Can we train a model that will classify this or do this for us? And now so many AI capabilities have emerged or been observed. It's no longer a question of will this thing be able to do what we want it to do, but how will we engage with the way that it does that in a responsible way and in a way that actually feeds back and empowers us to still engage our own critical thinking, still engage with the way that we want to approach problems, and especially those problems that affect our own communities the most. So in our work, we think a lot about maybe AI can take on different roles, right? Maybe it gives us suggestions and we take those as inputs to our own responsible decision-making, rather than just taking the one output that language models currently seem to have an interface and give us. And there's a lot of interesting ways that AI could help us counteract our own biases. But on the other hand, it could also reinforce those biases we have or even give us new ones, right? So a lot of the questions I think are interesting right now are about like what those biases are and how we can design systems that actually engage in the behaviors that we want to promote, right? In a way that feeds back into the kind of decisions and impacts we want in our communities. And maybe Kevin has a little bit more to say on that as well.
How's that? Yeah, thank you so much, Hope. Yeah, I'd like to just touch on that point about sort of what that user interface is and sort of thinking beyond a chat-based interface. So these machines or these AI systems today can often feel like prophecy machines, where basically they're outputting one response in often a decisive way. But in reality, it's just one of many probabilistic outputs that are coming out. My research really focuses around exposing those different probabilities, making them more interactive. And through this tool that I built during my PhD at Leighton Lab, it takes unstructured documents. It simplifies the process of taking those unstructured documents, think text documents, images, and converting them into a interactive visualization, sort of a semantic map that we can explore. Now, these semantic maps are sort of the best we have for being able to understand very high dimensional information, but they're still very unintuitive to use. So my work really focuses on how do we make these things more accessible, more intuitive for users to make use of.
Yeah, brilliant. Wait, as both a founder and a researcher, how do you think these AI tools are going to impact business? It's a big topic at Davos. Everyone's considering how is AI going to change my business, reinvent the enterprise? What's your take?
I think there's just this hope that sort of AI is going to basically take over and sort of, take care of all the problems, solve problems for us. But in reality, I think it's more about creating an experience that surfaces the information that we need that is relevant to the problems that we're trying to solve, and still as humans being the ones to be pulling from that information and making decisions that are actually solving the problem. Just to kind of tie it back to the agents as well. I mean, I totally agree. I think that multi-agent systems, this is the future of AI sort of problem solving. I do sort of worry that as we're passing information back and forth with large language model agents, that this text information that's being exchanged, that we're not able to sort of sift through and have control and observability into these systems, and that we really do require sort of a higher level abstraction, ideally a visual abstraction, where we can understand and have control over these AI systems that will ultimately be playing a huge role in business going forward.
Brilliant. I love that answer. Please.
So I think, well, actually one hot topic that's been going around lately is really how, agents are going to disrupt the SaaS and even consumer application layers. I mean, if you can imagine integrating these agents into, business applications, CRMs, et cetera, and giving them access to their data services and databases, you can imagine these agents basically just eventually replacing the business logic that runs these applications. And so does that application layer essentially become obsolete? Looking at the longer term, you can imagine that, these agents will be able to just generate UI for these applications on the fly. And so, a user could get visualizations of any interactions they have with that application and across multiple applications at the same time, personalized specifically to their use case. So that's something that's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to talking about more, actually.
Yeah, kind of linking both of those ideas, I think there's a lot of potential to help people explore counterfactuals around decision making too. So like Kevin said, there's so much about the probability distribution behind the way these outputs are generated that are obscured from users, but could actually help us make better decisions or have a little bit more transparency into how the decisions that are made on behalf of us or in partnership with us are made. So I think that exposing those and engaging with those and really using that information as part of the design of good interfaces with AI, both agents and like more standard models as well, is really important.
So add imagination and action. We have everyone from doomers who think AI is going to destroy everything and we should stop. And we have people who have never used ChatGPT and really don't know what's going on at all. What is your one message useful for the next year about AI for all of the CEOs, governance people, governors of different places around the world with regards to AI?
I have one message, I think, for people who are skeptics or really feel threatened by AI. And that message would be to get curious. You're empowered by the information you're able to get about language models and AI, the more you're able to engage with it and actually think about what the opportunities and limitations are. It's very easy to feel threatened and disempowered by some of the changes that are happening as a result of AI, to feel disempowered in work, let's say, through automation, or a sense that AI might be taking your job or disempowering you creatively or in your decision making. But I would encourage people who feel that sense of disempowerment to get curious about what the system is, what its limitations are. And as you empower yourself with that information, you might be able to be part of shaping the conversation around how to make this better and help turn the tide towards allowing it to have a empowering impact rather than a disempowering impact. So I think curiosity and engaging with it, no matter your opinion on the subject, is a way to help shape the conversation that I'd encourage everyone to get involved in, even if they're very skeptical about whether this can be used for good.
I would say people should take both the doom and the euphoria around AI with a grain of salt. So I'm going to be a bit of a boring pragmatist here and say that there are some really just basic things that, for example, with agents that we can't do yet. I mean, we can't generate, for example, syntactically correct APIs. And this is something that we do, on a very deterministic way today. So that kind of just middleware for AI is still a challenge, and we have a long ways to go. And so, people should continue to have these types of discussions so that we can shape it incrementally in the right direction.
Yeah, those are both great answers. I would sort of reiterate both of them and just say that ultimately, I think it comes back to us. And I think it's about what is AI going to empower humans to do. And if we I think we're on like an interesting inflection point right now where we first saw qualitative data become visualized back in the 1700s by William Playfair. But the underlying tools that actually made those visualizations possible, the Cartesian coordinate system, was actually by Descartes nearly 150 years prior. So I kind of feel like we're at a very similar point right now where we're just about to be able to start seeing qualitative information, which is much more complex than the quantitative information that we have. And I see AI as a tool that makes that possible for us. And that ultimately the value of that is what we can do with that information as humans, as opposed to what that system can do to us. All right. Thank you very much.